With the U.S. trapped in depression, this really is starting to feel like 1932. London Telegraph. You know about the New York Times last week, the Third Depression. Why are they suddenly all reporting the truth? The truth so far. So far as, yeah, we're really in a depression, but not who's behind it, how do we get out of it? How do we bring those behind it to justice so that they don't keep doing it in the future? I'm going to go to your calls, but I want to just say this simply and succinctly right now, and I'm going to get back into it later. It isn't enough to throw out every incumbent. It isn't enough to just educate yourself on the fact that there is a world government and there are offshore private banks that are robbing us. People have to also really grow up and face the facts, even if it is horrifying, that the controllers of this planet are eugenicists. And that they are poisoning our water and our food and our air by design to introduce chemicals and toxins into our food chain that will lower our standard of living, our quality of life, that will cause degenerative diseases that they can then make money off of treating them in the future, and that will ultimately basically sterilize the majority of the population. This is their stated goal, and this is clearly what they are doing. It's cut and dry that the government can't just say, we'll kill U.S. citizens anywhere we want in the United States or worldwide if someone in the Pentagon or White House thinks they might be a terrorist. And people say, well, we got to get tough on the terrorists. Then you go research who the terrorists are. 99% of the time, literally, it is a staged government event. And, of course, you don't let the government just arrest and take away anybody they want to a dungeon. I mean, of course, that's the greatest threat, not some turbaned guy who wants to blow up a school, even if that turbaned guy actually exists, which in most cases they don't. There is some real Muslim terrorist out there from the research I've done, but most of it is government, and most of the real stuff is basically copycat from the government stuff. And, you know, this is an elementary statement you're making, Brian, but it's also very profound. That's why I'm dumbfounded so much, is this is openly treason. It is openly criminal. But the government knows they're doing that. I mean, listen, having the military running checkpoints all over the country with local police and training with foreign troops to take on the American people, and the federal government secretly training tens of thousands of preachers, now on record. I mean, this was secret when we first reported it. Now it's, oh, yes, the government's working secretly with preachers to prepare their flocks to go to FEMA camps. I mean, how creepy is that? If you go watch The Running Man from the mid-1980s, it's like, where's my brother? Oh, he was permanently detained. You know, you go watch Firefox, like I said in the first hour with Clint Eastwood, from the late 1970s, and he goes to visit Russia, and they search his bags, and he's shocked by the incredible police state. I mean, again, we are living in the Soviet Union. And so secret arrest is being promoted, shutting down free speech is being promoted, taking everybody's bank accounts, not giving people... I mean, in the last week, I've seen all these mainstream media reports put it out there. Oh, I guess the health care bill didn't cover pre-existing conditions and those with really bad conditions. Oh, it does cut your benefits and raise your taxes. Oh, and see, they don't care if you find out Obama's a liar and his approval rating, you know, drops like the approval rating of gonorrhea, because they'll just put a new puppet in. This was all meant to happen. And the whole fake debate. I mean, and to see our fellow Americans buying this hook, line, and sinker. I had the idea and threw it out over 8 years ago on air, and then others picked it up and ran with it. And that's the power of this show. We have great guests with really great ideas. We have wonderful callers with just amazing ideas. And if any one of you out there can just implement these ideas in your town, in your city, in your state, then it is a model for the rest of the country and the world. That's why they're so scared of anyone standing up. That's why they want to make you feel powerless. And I had the idea of having the states, via the 9th and 10th Amendment, nullify the Patriot Act, and we couldn't get that done, so I said, how about counties and cities? And then other people picked up the idea, and over 800 cities and 4 states passed laws against the Patriot Act. And we stood up and said, no, this is unconstitutional. Then that gave moral support to courts who've stood up and said it's unconstitutional. Okay? And so it's always a struggle. The tyrant's always wanting your freedoms, and you're always having to stand up and secure those freedoms. In California, finish up your point.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, there was a small riot as soon as it got dark down here in my town, and they had to pull in resources from all the different cities throughout my particular county. My point being is the police state needs us. They need us to participate. And I'll tie this in with this. What's the big argument for cracking down on illegal aliens, you know, like what they're proposing to do in Arizona? Their big argument is, well, the Hispanic community won't trust the police, and therefore they won't help us fight crime. This is another example of what I'm saying. They need us for this police state.
I hear you, and I appreciate your call. Those are really good points that you've made. The problem is people need to have their own judgment. If the police are asking for your help to find a missing child, that's a good thing. Or if they're asking for your help to go fight a forest fire, you should saddle up and do it. But through an emergency alert system that is to find missing children, now it's got anti-gun messages and just random messages about spying on your neighbor. So they always use something that sounds reasonable to then push a complete takeover of society. You'll also notice that the IRS will visit a Sacramento car cleaner, car wash, for a 4-cent unpaid ticket or 4-cent unpaid bill, and send armed officers, not once but twice, threatening to arrest them if they didn't pay the 4 cents. They had to even send them a letter. But see, that's how they waste resources. Those on top know how to deploy them where they never actually stop any real crime. I mean, here's an article. Interpol asked web surfers to catch fugitives. Interpol has been caught in Europe with DynCorp, with Halliburton, with the UN, all over Eastern Europe, running the child kidnapping and the international prostitution. I mean, that's come out in government document after government document. Just Google UN caught kidnapping women and children in Europe. You'll get BBC, you name it. And then read Interpol comes up time and time again in there. So it says International Police Agency Interpol on Monday urged Internet users to help track down hundreds of fugitives wanted for murder, rape, and sexual child abuse and other serious crimes. Well, why don't they go arrest some of the people in their own department? Again, Interpol is the federal police of every nation in Europe. And when you go to a hotel, this has been going on for 30 years or more, in Europe, you are registered into the Interpol system. Everywhere you go is being watched. But this is done so the criminals that run the society can be protected. Let's say one of these criminals ripped you off or killed your wife, or and you're going to go to that European country next door to you. Say you're in Spain, you're going to go to Portugal. And this happens all the time. And they have a computer system that statistically will know, okay, this guy from Spain is coming to Portugal. Our actuaries, our analysis shows there's a 79% chance he's planning to do harm to this fellow that lives in Portugal. And they see you going from your city 500 miles away to a particular city in Portugal, and then when you get off the airplane or when you pull into your hotel, an hour later, there's a knock on your door. Why are you here? Why are you in Portugal? And so Interpol is mainly to make sure these globalists can commit their crimes and get away with it. I mean, large portions. This has come out in news report after news report, and some of them have been caught, of the European elite, are openly Satanists and are openly pedophiles. It's you don't get in the club like a lot of Republican congressmen, you've got to be gay. You know, that's kind of the club here. Or with Democrats, it's always been in, for some reason, to rape women. I don't know why, but it just keeps coming up. That's kind of the club. They like to slap women around. Bill Clinton likes to bite him while he rapes him, to hold him down. He bites him on the lips like a bulldog bites a bull. But that's what they do. And in Europe, it's pedophile run. And so anybody trying to get justice, Interpol is there to protect the pedophiles, period. And see, if you really want freedom, folks, you're going to have to actually go research what I said and find out I didn't just say that to be shocking, okay? That's actually true, okay? And 15 years of deep research, it's just everywhere. You could find that out in 5 minutes just doing a search about it. Here's what I'm going to do, okay? Because I keep saying I'm going to get to the news, and then I don't. We're going to come back from break, and I'm going to give each caller about a minute and a half, plus they've been holding, clear out this phone board, and then I'm going to get to all this news instead of just eating around the edges. Because there's so much.